When you have teenagers and the relationship is not going well, you can get stuck with how do I turn this around and what do I talk about? So my son is going to help me teach exactly that. A while back, we had a conversation as a part of a bigger workshop on parenting from a place of burnout. And I'm going to share that conversation, or at least a small part of that conversation, with you all. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking in that episode, and I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking now, but I do want to address one thing. I have been deeply in prayer about the direction of my podcast and whether or not it had the right title and whether I was working smart and doing all the things that needed to be done the way God wanted me to do them. And I recently found someone who has really sparked a different level of growth in me and in what I'm doing. And I am simplifying. So instead of having multiple different offers, instead of having different names for my podcast versus my brand, damage-free discipline is what I do. It's what I created based on over 2 decades in education after being a mom of a teenager who really had a tense home environment and kind of messed the relationship up for a while, and had to put in the work on myself to turn things around with him. And we're in a completely different place now. He's here visiting, and I'm going to give him a minute to say something if he wants to speak. And then I'm going to start just playing the clip for you. And at the end of this episode, I'm just going to make you a small offer to get on my email list. So I'm telling you now what that offer is going to be, to just hop on my email list so that you can get more insights from me about damage-free discipline. But this is my son, John.
Yeah. So, with the whole damage-free discipline thing, it's been an honor really working with my mom. With this type of stuff, having to do these podcasts with her and having genuine conversations with her, it really helps form a bond in a relationship that maybe 2 or 3 years ago I never would have thought possible. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, and I'm going to load the clip. Catch some of this because we can use it. So I have to grab the next. The next question is, it might possibly be a heavy one. What scares you?
What scares me? What scares me is honestly you going back to how things were. I mean, I know it. I trust, I don't necessarily know, but I trust that it's not going to happen, where it won't, get as bad as it was beforehand. But, that is one thing that I'm scared of, that, you say something that I don't necessarily know that you mean or you don't, something that can really hurt our relationship. Because, it's happened a couple of times before. So that's one fear of mine, that's going to happen again. And I pray that it doesn't, because that stuff is really hurtful to me. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope it never comes to that type of situation. That's what really scares me.
What do you wish we could do over?
Let me think. I really wish that the times that we did have our discrepancies, that we actually could just sit there and talk about it. Mind you, how I say talk. When I say talk, I don't mean a monologue. When I say talk, I don't mean just the parent just laying into their kid and their kid just saying, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. That's not what I'm talking about at all. That's not productive, to be real. That's not productive at all. Because you just sitting there, you don't even know if your kid, what your kid got going on, what your kid thinking about. You don't even know if your kid in their head, excuse my language, is calling it bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Or just wondering why. You get me? So it's I really wish, we could have sat down and talked about things like I was actually getting older and not treating things like I was still like 12.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want our relationship to look or feel like?
This. I mean, I know I'm not that much of a help with you know, the example, but I'm gonna be real.
No, it's fine. I just want you to answer the question. I just
Okay.
want to show, because it really is just a conversation. And so what y'all are seeing is just a conversation. That's what it should look like. It should look like y'all are just talking. And if it feels that good to you now, that makes me feel proud of myself for sticking with making these changes within me for you so that we could get to this place.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely hard. And then anytime that I would regress and go back to a behavior that I said I would never do again, or a reaction that I said I would never show again,
yeah, because
I would feel guilty and beat myself up about that for a little bit. But I use that guilt as my accountability partner. And so then it's like, okay, so we remember what that felt like. And if we don't want to feel that way, then we need to do something different.
Right. That kind of goes in hand with the next question that we got. What do you think needs to happen to have that kind of relationship? For me, I'm going to talk in retrospective, you know, to get to where we got, what needed to happen, you know, were conversations, not monologues, like I was saying before. Times where we would sit down and talk about things, you know, and it wasn't like small little things. It was about, you know, from how you were feeling today to something that happened between us, and like, why do you feel that way? What happened? You know, why do you feel the way that you feel? You know what I'm saying? I feel like a common understanding between each other, whether it be minuscule or monumental. You know what I'm saying? A common understanding between each other is it's important. And I feel like that is what needed. The main thing that I needed for our relationship to get a lot better, for us to be able to communicate. Okay. Communication is really strong. A lot of people don't realize how big communication is.
But see, they do. People do realize how big communication is, but they don't apply it to communication with their children. They apply it to romantic relationships. They apply it to when they're at work, but they don't apply it to talking to their children, because in their mind, because you're a labeled child, I don't have to talk to you. I just have to tell you what to do. I just have to make sure that you are being obedient and getting good grades. We don't have to so that's why there's so much of an issue in the family structure when it comes to parents to children. And it's not just the mom thing.
Yeah.
It's parent to child.
Yeah. And that's the thing I want to talk about. Your teenagers are not babies anymore. They're not little kids. They're not 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They are not. They're getting older. Our hormones, I don't want to blame it on our hormones, but literally scientifically, they are going stupid, right? So I want parents to treat teenagers like their age. You know what I'm saying? I don't want parents to sit here and try to scold and cuss out your kid like they don't know no better. Because 9 times out of 10, they do know better. It's just sometimes they do. Sometimes we do slip up. Everyone slips up every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't want y'all to sit here and just lay into us like we're, you know, still children. This is a point in our lives where we're trying to become an adult, and you talking to us like that is not helping the case at all. We're trying to help you get us out here in the world.
Like, what would help? Because at the end of the day, the reality is parents are frustrated with having to keep saying the same things over and over again and not see any changes happen. Or saying the things and then getting pushback from y'all on not doing, because you think it's a negotiation, because you think it's not fair. And we're coming from a place of, but we're on the other side of these teenage years and we know what's in your best interest. but but I know what's best for me. You actually said that to me when you were, I don't even know how old. I know what's best for me. No, you don't. You're 12. Like, you don't. But I think that's where there can be some tension, where parents give up on trying to just have a conversation because they're so frustrated.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, low key, sometimes there are those moments where you gotta let bro figure it out. Not gonna lie. Sometimes you just gotta let him go out there and do what he needs. Now, granted, obviously, let's not sit here and like let your teenager, be in danger or
no.
Serious
but
like
I get what you're saying, because it's
like,
how I was with your grades, right? It gets to a point where I'm like, you know what? You don't want to do your work. I'm gonna let you feel the consequences of not doing your work. It's not gonna come immediately, but you're gonna be sitting in summer school.
Let the teenager
graduation's gonna be hanging in the balance. Like I can't save you from all of your poor choices.
Yeah.
Because you'll never learn.
Yeah, let the teenager experience real life for a second.
Yeah.
Because there's only so much teaching that you can do. Teenager obviously is going to be like, sometimes they're not going to believe you. So sometimes they have to experience that for themselves, unfortunately.
And part of just being a teenager, you are more willing to take risks and think that things can't happen to you. So it's just keeping that in mind. Now, the last question from this conversation is, what are you willing to do for us to have our best shot at the type of relationship you want?
What I'm willing to do, I'm gonna be real, being a lot more consistent with like around the house stuff, and actually like taking care of my room, the floors, the kitchen, my bathroom, doing my part and doing it consistently, and showing you through actions and through words, through both of those, that I appreciate you, what you do for me, for this roof over my head and the food that I eat. I'm going to show you that I appreciate that by doing little stuff. You know what I'm saying? Occasionally, if I got the money, give you a little gift. You know what I'm saying? Get you a little pair of shoes.
I appreciate that. The gift of you doing your part without me saying anything is plenty. As far as I'm concerned, what I am willing to do is to continue to grow in my ability to let go and let you do and let you make the decisions, regardless of my personal feelings about your decisions, and withholding unsolicited advice unless it's something major where I feel like you need to hear this, like in relation to money management or safe practices. Those are things I'm going to just go ahead and say. But excuse me, I also am going to stay consistent with maintaining my composure even when I'm angry or irritated about something, and just expressing the anger without showing the anger, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like you've done a great job of that. I mean, me personally, I don't know if there was a time that you were like really like angry, maybe annoyed or irritated, but I feel like you are a lot more like calmer. You're a lot calmer than what you were before.
Yeah. And still stressed about some of the same things, but not to the point of burnout. I just don't get to that level anymore. That's why I do what I do. That's why I teach other people how to do it, because it's just, I refuse to live in that world of being constantly stressed. And so I deal with things at the root level, and then anything that I can't control enough to do something about is above me now. And so I pray about it, leave it up there, and I lean on my faith. Okay, so this next page, we're getting close towards having to wrap it up here. The next page is the commitment page. So you heard us talk through our commitments to going forward, but this page is so that you put it in writing, solidify it. And the reason why I say that, especially if you have a teen who still has some time to go before they are actually leaving the house, is this is a working document that you can always go back to when you're having accountability conversations. You can have just a check-in meeting, however often, once a week or twice a month, once a month, whatever it is, and look at what you both listed as the things you're willing to do for your relationship and talk about. Are you doing these things? Where are we? Am I doing these things? Is there anything that we need to adjust? Like, you can use this as something to have real conversations about, because it's time out for all the superficial stuff that's not helping our kids prepare for adult life in the real world. And we tend to treat them like kids and then battle with them because they know they're not kids, but we're treating them like kids until we get mad. Then we treat them like adults who we're mad at. And then it just becomes this power struggle. And then suddenly it's, okay, now get out. Go figure out how to be grown, instead of following the progression of, I'm the one doing the driving when you're little. And then when you are in those pubescent years, I'm letting you do some of the driving and I'm doing some of the driving. And then as they get a little bit older, you're doing more of the driving, but I'm able to pump those brakes as necessary to, okay, now it's your turn to take the wheel. And so you got to think it's a progression. We are not just, you're a baby, and then get out.
That was my main thing.
That's not helpful. And that's how a lot of us transitioned into adulthood, through being treated like smaller children and then suddenly being pushed out with no skills to navigate the adult world. And we're just now learning how to reparent ourselves. So we are going to get to this last part, because I do want you to use this if you haven't had the conversation, because we didn't pause today, so that y'all could have those conversations from page or tab 3. But what are your takeaways after you have that conversation? What's something you learned about each other? What are you looking forward to from the relationship in the future? And what's something that you're grateful for? And what comes next? Like, don't just let this be the end of it. What comes after this? So I want to use the rest of our time for some Q&A, but thank you to those who have to jump off, because I don't want to hold you longer, even though we started a little later. I don't want to go over our time. I said 7:30 was the end, so we're going to leave it there. But if you want to hang out, we are still here. So we'll do some Q&A, and the rest of you, if you got to hop off, thank you so much and good night. So if turning things around in your home is something that you're trying to do, but you're just not sure where to start having the conversation with your teen, as a bonus for this episode, I am dropping in the show notes or the description, if you're watching this on YouTube, a link to the questions that I asked my son and the steps to having repair conversations and what that process looks like. If you want more guidance on how to just be the mom that you know God is calling you to be, and to discipline your kids without crushing their spirits to do it, you can get on my email list at damagefreediscipline.com. See you next week.